2020 was a tough year for us, like everybody else. We'll always remember it as the year of the coronavirus and the shifts we had to make in working remotely and from home. But despite those challenges, we did some amazing work at Clear AA. Most of all, we managed to get our country programs underway, and in a number of exciting places, we managed to do monitoring and evaluation situation analyses and start to develop some really exciting strategies that are going to lead to stronger monitoring and evaluation systems in Anglophone Africa.
While 2020 was a very challenging year, it was also such a good year for us, a productive year where we were tested in terms of our adaptability, and we rose to the occasion. For the first time, we created an online platform where practitioners in M&E, commissioners of evaluations, managers of evaluations, academics could come together to argue, to discuss and have an honest, well, though brutal conversation about what evaluation on the African continent for the African context should look like. So this was the African evaluation in Davao. And this platform, which was attended over 5 days, created a space for us to debate pertinent issues such as the Made in Africa evaluation. And I'm glad to say we continue this journey. It did not just end with the Indaba, but we've created a space for ongoing engagement. And this spills into our data. And data is an adaptation of our flagship program, formerly the DETPA, now purely online and labeled the Development Evaluation in Africa Training, where individuals from across sectors, public, private, CSO, as well as the academic sector, can grapple with these issues even further.
Evaluation systems is a convener for country programs in English-speaking countries. These country programs are country-led, country-focused, and country-owned. In 2020, we developed a number of strategies in English-speaking countries. In Uganda, we've developed the strategy, and we are now at the verge of implementing one of the key projects, that is developing an evaluation agenda. And the evaluation agenda will be able to identify the various programs that are related to the National Development Plan 3 that will be evaluated. In Lesotho, we are developing a monitoring and evaluation policy that will be very much crucial in systematizing, institutionalizing, and structuring the practice of evaluation. We developed a strategy in Tanzania. We are developing a strategy in Liberia. But in Liberia, we are starting with the monitoring and evaluation situation analysis. That situation analysis is very much important in giving us insight into the current status quo of monitoring and evaluation in the country.
We also implemented a number of really exciting research projects relating to climate change. We put out a new version of the African Evaluation Database. And we ran a number of exciting training programs relating to the voluntary national reviews and other elements of evaluation.
As research and learning for Clear AA, we have the responsibility of documenting lessons from our work across all the programs which we are running as Clear AA. We focus on what works, for whom, under what circumstances when it comes to M&E capacity strengthening across African countries. So we also produce knowledge products, which we share with our stakeholders and also other people who are interested in M&E systems in Africa. So last year we had a few highlights. The first highlight was the updating of the African Evaluation Database, a database which we created in 2015. We managed to update it with new materials, and also we managed to improve its look and also the search function on the database, and it's now looking much more better and also much more accessible to most of the people across the African continent.
We were very pleased to find that we're able to actually initiate the pilot of the parliamentary oversight tool in Zambia, and we're able to make good progress in terms of not just the design of the application, but also actually initiate the pilot with our counterparts in the National Assembly of Zambia. This was an important milestone for Clear AA because it really was the first sort of full, tangible expression of the Memorandum of Understanding that we entered in with the National Assembly of Zambia. In addition to that, we were able to conclude the situation analysis, and we conducted a situation analysis on M&E in the national legislature, and that really created a basis for us to develop a capacity development plan. The capacity development plan is really our baseline for identifying key priorities of areas that we will be working with the National Assembly to strengthen over the coming period.
We also managed to conduct a research on climate change, on the role of M&E and other sources of evidence in enabling adaptive management of climate change. We were focusing on 3 countries, which was Zambia, Tanzania, and Uganda. The other third project, which we also managed to do, was on the VOPEs, the Voluntary Organization of Professionalization of Evaluation in Africa. We wrote a discussion paper on VOPEs in terms of how we can strengthen their capacity, and also how we can actually use them to strengthen M&E capacities in their countries. And also finally, we also have, we managed to hold some webinars which were focusing on discussions around the topical M&E issues across the African continent. So in these webinars, we're actually inviting outside people who are outside of CLEAR AA. We also managed to have internal capacity strengthening seminars for our researchers within CLEAR AA, discussing several issues which are key to generating knowledge in CLEAR AA.
Another important thing that happened during 2020 was that we became part of the Global Evaluation Initiative, and we look forward to working with our colleagues all over the world to build systems that strengthen monitoring and evaluation.
The COVID-19 pandemic was at the heart of most of the challenges we experienced in 2020. In our work with countries, for instance, we faced delays that we had not expected. One example, with Makerere University, we had to delay our data collection, and that also has a knock-on effect on other activities that rely on that to happen. That means we delay our curriculum development process as it relies heavily on the data that we would have collected and the report that we would have written.
We also had to adapt our ways of working, obviously, and accept some of the practical constraints that come with working differently. For instance, in a virtual environment, given that many of our partners are in different countries and different contexts have different levels of connectivity and different levels of capability in terms of digital connectivity and being able to navigate and work efficiently in that space.
For instance, we used to travel to Tanzania and do a workshop over 3 days, but it is now taking more than 5 times effort to do the work. So we hope that we'll continue to use local people in Tanzania to do the work in terms of the implementation of the 5 projects that have been identified through the strategy.
In our work with the University of Zambia, it was difficult to review a whole PhD program and do it virtually. Such things are usually better when we're all in one room and we tackle it piece by piece. But in this case, we had to adapt. We had to adapt to the reality that the team at the University of Zambia was facing. For instance, the sudden influx of students on campus and the adjustments they had to make.
We have started working in Liberia, and this is the first time we are working in Liberia. We did not know anyone, so we employed local consultants to actually do the work. But in future, we are working to work with higher education institutions where we presume there is capacity.
As research and learning, our biggest challenge was actually that as a business line, we depend on engaging with across all the business lines in CLEAR AA. And when you say engaging, I mean the traditional way of talking to people, getting ideas from them, and actually conceptualization issues.
We really relied on the work of our staff, who performed admirably under a very difficult circumstance, and we continue to draw on the support of the Independent Evaluation Group of the World Bank, as well as the very generous financial support of the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In 2021, we look forward to implementing our country capacity strengthening strategies, to doing more exciting capacity strengthening work ourselves, and ongoing work in our research and learning program. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to working with you over the coming year.